Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to another not midnight edition of the Missing Wolves post-game podcast live stream thing. I'm Andrew Dukowitz of Zone Coverage. Got a couple guests with me today. Duke Schneider from Valley News Live. How's it going, man?
Not too shabby, Andrew. Just a brutal fourth quarter there. Had something going early in that third. Like I said, reality quickly hit. Bad shots, not great quality. That's going to get you in 6 feet deep against these Spurs.
Yeah, I mean, it felt like the Wolves were at least trying to hang around, but eventually it was just too much. Also, Steve Hartman swinging by from the, oh gosh, I'm not going to forget, Splash City podcast, right?
There you go. You got it, man. Yeah, thanks. Good to be here.
I think the last time you were up, I botched it, so I had to make up for it. Steve, how's it going, man?
As good as it can be when you lose by 30 in the playoffs, but yeah, lots to talk about. Excited to be here.
Yeah, let's get into it. Spurs win 126-97 over the Timberwolves. It felt like a game for most of it. I mean, first quarter, they're down 4. They go into halftime down 12. Third quarter, they storm back, tie it back up, then promptly go into the fourth quarter down 12. Or no, they go down into the fourth quarter by 20, and then it just kind of the wheels came off. I think they got it to like 11 or 12 a couple times, but just ended up being too much. I mean, Steve, I'm going to let you choose here. Do you want to talk about Victor Wembanyama's first quarter, or do you want to just talk about like kind of the general disappointment around this Wolves team in Game 5?
I mean, the disappointment I feel like comes and goes with this team, so it's a fairly recent, consistent topic for us. Victor, yeah, man, he's crazy. Like it's hard to know what to do with him when he's playing like that, and that's why like the non-Wemby minutes are so absolutely critical. And I've been talking about this a lot lately. When he's on the floor, I just feel like we won game 1 attacking him and being okay with him getting 10 blocks. And I hear a lot of other people talk about like, got to make more threes. We are not capable right now of doing that. Not without Dante, not with Ant getting off the ball all the time. And so I just feel like tonight, would we have like 30 paint points? And in the last game we won, we had 50. In the first game we won, we had 52. And I just feel like they have to go at him to get him off the floor, because I think it makes him use more energy when he's blocking shots. It's a chance to get him in foul trouble, and they're just not doing it enough. And when he's on the floor, he's too much. I mean, there's really nothing Rudy can do. There's nothing Julius can do. Jaden can't hang with him. I mean, he's unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the same thing with Ant, right? Where it's like 3 years ago, we're sitting here and I think Ant had like a 50 burger in Golden State. And we were sitting there like, oh man, this guy's going to be a dude. Like Wemby had 18 points in the first quarter of a playoff game. Like that's insane. He also didn't even play the entire first quarter. Yeah. I mean, 18 points in 8.5 minutes. I mean, Duke, like what? I guess, like, do you have any, like, how do you slow him down? Because it really felt like it was less about slowing Wemby down and more about just like other guys started getting hot and Wemby deferred this game.
Mm-hmm. The other guys made it really easy on Wemby here today, but I don't think I could agree with Steve more on this one. You just can't, there's just no threes falling. And I think losing Dante, we are finally seeing like what this does to this team in terms of 3-point shooting. Even though Dante didn't have his best year from beyond the arc, he still drew that attention and got more open shots, not only for Ant, but other guys around the rack. Jaden McDaniels, career high 3-point percentage and 41% this year. He's shooting 17 in the playoffs right now. And granted, he did struggle against the Nuggets too from 3-point land, but you can just see the impact that Dante really has on this team. And that first quarter, Wemby did his thing for sure. The Wolves came out of that first quarter actually shooting 58% from the field. I thought there was a little bit of something there, a little bit of give in that Spurs defense, but it's when Wemby's in the paint, Wolves fans have talked about Rudy ball, the nope. Like you drive to the lane, absolute nope. This with Wemby, it's that times about 1,000. None of the guys wanted to get to the paint. We're shooting these high arching floaters. There's no reason to fade away against Wemby. We saw Nas try to do it. We saw Jaden try to do it. There's no reason. You might as well either get blocked, draw a foul, or just try to get a basket over the guy or push through him. I had a lot of trust in this Wolves team to be like this physical, like talk the talk type kind of team. And I think that they just took a step back here. I think they saw what was in front of them, literally like an 8-foot monster. They still think, and I still believe they think they can win this series in their heads. But I just don't know at this point. It doesn't feel like many adjustments have been made. And if they do and they work, they don't stick for very long when it all comes down to it. That's what we saw beginning of second quarter, heading into halftime. Come back in the third quickly, blow it right away. I mean, you see it just leave in just the snap of the fingers. You're down 14, 16, 18. You have to fight back. Then in the fourth, we did get it to, I can't remember if we did get it down to single digits, but at least 12 in that 8-minute mark. It was there, but when the Spurs just decided to lock in, that's kind of all she wrote. Wemby's a freak. And then once you got the other guys going, your Carter Bryant's, your Keldon Johnson's, he's a goofy fellow, but he got in the paint tonight. That is for sure.
Yeah, the thing that's always telling me with this team, especially on offense, is like their assist percentage. Because it's frustrating with this team because at this point in the year, I guarantee you Chris Finch isn't like, hey guys, let's shoot a 3-pointer with 5 seconds off the shot clock. With 19 seconds on the shot clock, let's just huck a 3 with no passes. Like, I promise Finch isn't saying that. But like these guys, when the ball isn't moving, they almost like get afraid that the ball isn't going to come back to them. And then you just start seeing them chuck, which, I mean, that second quarter, especially when it started getting a little out of hand, like Io's shooting pull-up threes. Julius is getting it in the corner, not even looking to drive, shooting a 3. Jaden
early in the shot clock on top of that too.
Right.
Way too early. Not even running in action, pick and rolls, dude. We're just chucking.
And that's the thing is again, you look at their assist percentage tonight. They're 17 assists on 52 or 32 makes, so 52.5% assist percentage. Like that just can't happen. Like in a playoff game, that can't happen. And I wrote about it coming into game 4 before Wemby, hit the Judas effect. I think that's Chris Jericho's finisher now. Anyways, before they hit the Judas effect on Naz Reid, like they got to pass the ball. They got to spread it out. They got to pass the ball. They got to drive and kick. They got to just play fast. And it honestly looked like they never got into it tonight, which I'm sure there's going to be a very fun film review for them tomorrow. But if they're not going to follow their own game plan, I'm not really sure how they're going to have a chance in this one. Steve, what do you make of the ball movement though? What am I out of bounds?
No, I think San Antonio is really good playing one-on-one, and they don't have to help off, right? Like they make passing tough. Like it's obvious that that's part of their MO. They pressure the 3-point line, force you to drive, kind of like what the Wolves do a little bit with Rudy, but they are elite. They're better on the perimeter and they're better inside. I think the problem I have with how things go with this team is the third quarter starts, and part of it is you're getting stops, but Iowa's pushing pace. They are able to get movement quicker. They're able to get the Spurs kind of backpedaling, and so they're not set. And they got it tied at 61, I think, and then they kind of go away from that, and now they're walking it up. And I know it's Ant and it's Julius, got to have the ball in their hands, and they do that. But they're not going to win this series playing against the Spurs set defense. And I think it's just as simple as that. Like that spurt in the third quarter was beautiful, and the ball's moving, it's coming down quick, and it's driven by Io. Io was getting rebounds and pushing it himself. And the other guys just don't want to do that a lot. And so it's you have this weird conundrum with lineups right now where it'd be great to play smaller. There was a few minutes where they went with Nas at the 5, Jaden at the 4. I don't think it went particularly well, but like I think Finch is going to have to change lineups up to try to get something moving. And my other thing I was going to say was there's moments where they can attack Wemby on closeouts on the corner 3. I think Julius had one, Jaden had one, and they settled for the 3. And now you're shooting over 7-6, a 10-foot, reach. And I'm like, why would you, of all the places to drive it on them, that's the place. And so there's a chance there where maybe you get an assist because you can get a 1 or 2 dribble finish, and they don't take that. They take this really hard contested 3. And so I think there's a mix of like this, what the Spurs are doing. There's a mix of pace, and then there's just poor decision-making and shot selection. That's causing the problems.
The other thing I would add is like when Rudy's having a game where his hands are not working particularly well, which today was one of those games where it felt like he just had lube on his hands and like couldn't catch anything. I feel like these guys lose confidence in that drive and like dish or shovel pass to Rudy really quickly, and then it just never comes back, which some of that is on Rudy, like, please catch the ball. I mean, some of it's also on the guys of like, you just got to keep, even if he's dropping it, like you got to just keep trying it at least. Because once they start ignoring Rudy, you're playing 4-on-5. Like there was possessions in the fourth quarter where Rudy was just, they were just like leaving him in the dunker's spot wide open because they knew no one was going to pass it to him, which, I mean, Duke, I guess we can transition into the Julius thing in a little bit, but I did want to just talk Jaden first. Seemed like Jaden had a really good game other than the 5 fouls, but what was your take on Jaden's night?
Second best plus minus in -12, 6 of 13 from the field. That's about what I'd expect out of Jaden in a game like this. 17 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists. What I even more expected was about 5 fouls on top of that too. Little bit of a tantrum on the bench, got a little frustrated. It could have been a better Jaden game. Really, it could. Some of those fouls, I would say about 3 of those fouls were just Jaden getting upset type of fouls. That really could have kept him in the game, in this one, in the fight. And he actually made 3 of 7 from 3-point range on top of that too. So he came into this one shooting 17% from 3 in the playoffs. He finally has a good game from the 3-point land, and he had to get himself taken out too many times in this one. It's just it's a classic Jaden game, the negative kind, where you see the production there and you're just hammering the table to like have them stay on the floor. 3 fouls before the first half. The first half ended. Now we're talking about 5 fouls into the fourth quarter in the most critical time. And I'm not sure what exactly is Jaden's plus minus throughout the entire series. I would say it's in the top 3, if not top 2 of Wolves players, because no one else is really playing to that beat. Jaden had a good game, but we can't just look at the box score. Some of those shots he did take were pretty errant in the paint. And like I mentioned, that one, he backed down Wemby and took this fadeaway jumper. You have just better chances of just putting your body into him and trying to attract, get him in the air, give a couple pump fakes. We saw Keldon Johnson do that in the lane to Ant about 4 times before he went up with the shot itself. Probably should have been a foul on Ant. It didn't. I don't think it got called. But that's what you got to do. I mean, overall good game, right? Like if you just look at the box score, there's just, I guess the best way to put it, there's just way too much meat left on the bone for just about everyone on this team, whether it be Ant, whether it be Jaden, just being frustrated with, we talked about it a little bit already, but Ant walking it up the court, and he's literally walking into a double team, just waiting for someone to flash open. And I'm sure there was some actions that Finch drew up because that is how Ant likes to bring it up. We got to play off of that, but It just didn't work today. The Spurs were too athletic for the Wolves to be nonchalant. And when you have guys like Rudy, Julius, and Ant, they play in a nonchalant but effective way when it works. But against this team, it's just not taking the cake.
I did look it up. His plus minus isn't bad. Like it's -8 per game for the series, which like you have 2 30-point blowouts. Like that's pretty good for being down 2-3. The thing that jumps off his semifinal stat page is 4.6 fouls per game against the Spurs. Like that just can't happen.
You need him.
And
the wins aren't going to happen without Jaden.
They're doing to Jaden what you should do against a longer, taller player. They're getting into his body constantly.
Yep.
Castle and Harper are big, strong. I mean, they're giving up 4 inches, but and Keldon Johnson 6'6", right? I mean, these aren't huge dudes, but they are strong and they're going right to bodies. And it's apparent. I feel like this team of the Spurs reminds me of us a couple years ago. Just this tenacious, like no BS. We're going to outwork and we're going to get to where we want to get all the time. And I don't know if we got inside. We're like Rocky and Rocky 3 where we get a little soft or something. I don't know what's going on, but
Steve, I missed that.
That's what I'm waiting for.
Those sound like some good days.
I did real quick, Duke. I did just look it up. Jaden is, let's see here, of players that actually play, he is 4th in plus minus. TJ's a -4.1, Nas -4.8, Mike -7.5, and then Jaden. Ant is -12. Julius, surprisingly, -12.3, but part of that is like the plus minus from game 4. Farah, let's get into the Julius of it all. Farah says, Andrew, do you get frustrated when you watch Julius? Because sometimes when you talk about him, you seem too chill. I think for me, it is what it is. Like he is an inherently very flawed player. And he has shown that he has this upside of being like Shasta Cola LeBron, Diet Coke LeBron, whatever you want to call him, where he can get you 18, 10, and 10, and he's awesome. But then there's all of these other things, like the transition defense is really tough. The offensive rebounding, where he leaks out and then someone gets an offensive rebound and he just kind of like waves it off and stays on the offensive side, like, is really tough. The turnovers drive me nuts. Like turnovers are my biggest bugaboo in basketball. Like most of them are such preventable mistakes that they might kill me. Someone's going to get a turnover when I'm like Royce's age, and it's just that's the end of Andrew. But like I have kind of found in covering this team for the last 5 years now is just like you just can't get too upset about it, because like Julius is at the end of the day like a pretty nice dude that has a family and is probably getting traded this offseason. So like, I'm not going to let it ruin my evening, but it is inherently like his fit next to Ant. I think I've said a couple times is like both of them being so ISO dominant. It just can't work. Like you can't have two players that have 25+% usage that are like dominant ISO players. Like, they tried it for 2 years. I think Randle, like re-signing him was probably the right decision. But I mean, he's just such an inherently flawed player, which Steve, I'll throw it over to you. I don't know if you have anything to add on to that, but just your Julius Randle take, wherever you want to go with it.
Yeah, I mean, frustrating. Like that's the one word that comes to mind. But there are things like Finch can always go back to certain things, and like he's doing the Gortat screen a little bit, right? He got a couple buckets doing that, and he has possessions where he plays decent defense. It's just I feel like with this team, I think you put it right. Like he just doesn't fit with Ant, and you need someone. I always kind of go back to the Mitchell Robinson from the Knicks. Like that's the kind of guy I feel like this team needs. Like I'd like to see Nas start, and then you bring in this like rebounding gritty. I don't need the ball. I'll just do all this other stuff and get you 10 and 8 just off effort. So not him, but somebody like him, right? And so yeah, I mean Randall just it's just he's not getting. I feel like there's moments in this game where he's settling for these fadeaways over guys that are 4 inches shorter than him, and I'm just not understanding quite what he's thinking he's doing with that, because it's not helping. And then to your point earlier, he does get to the rim. Wemby draws Wemby, dumps it to Rudy, and Wemby's able to get over there. Or I think if somebody else blocked Rudy. So then he's like, well, I can't do that either.
Just swatted
yeah. So it's like your 7'2" center couldn't dunk over Keldon Johnson. You're like, well, I don't know. So I all the other stuff you said is true. And I agree. And he's incredibly frustrating. I don't know what they're going to do with him, but if I were to say, like, I'm watching him more closely, I think, lately, and I do see some of these things where it's like, okay, that's a pretty good play, and he made the right read here, or he set a really good screen there, but it's just not consistent enough. And this team needs another scorer, and he's just not giving you anything.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Like, I think if Julius Randle is the fourth guy on a championship team, you probably feel really good. Like, that's a guy that when your star is out and your second star is out, he can control the offense and run some stuff to him. But like Sia kind of said, like, are you seriously talking about the upside of a 31-year-old Randle? Like, that's the issue. Like, he is kind of who he is at this point. And I think Finch has found a way to maximize him better than like New York did, or certainly the Lakers did. The Pelicans actually, well, that was Finch in New Orleans. So Chris Finch is the only guy who's really like maximized Randle, I think. That's what's tough though, is they need him to be the second best player. Like, I still feel pretty confident based off of like this playoff series and the end of the season that Jaden might be able to get there in his like late 20s. But like, he's not there yet. Like, Reed isn't there yet. So it puts them in this spot where you're just kind of hoping a good Julius Randle shows up. And it's not a good place to be, right, Duke?
No, not at all. Surprisingly, he had 0 turnovers tonight, 17 points and a double-double. And we're talking about this, but it's like we said, it's just more than the box score. Like, you watch him, offense, defense, the backdoor cuts he let up. I mean, yeah, I'd say we're probably being a little nice because we've seen this time and time again. Those flashes we've seen with Julius where we're like, this is the real Julius. They're just so few and far between at this point. We're just giving him, because I'd say it's probably just because of his contract, because he's on such a bargain for the type of player he is. We're just giving him too much leeway on the mistakes he makes, on how he's not being able to hustle. I mean, not to like bring up the old days and the Cat days, but like, Cat had all the flaws in the world, just as many flaws as Julius did. But even if it was a stupid foul, he was still running full speed down the court. And that is just like the most frustrating thing. That's what made the Wolves special those 2 years ago. We just mentioned that hustle, even if it was a dumb foul, that hoarding, that defense where you just swarm the guys. I miss that so much, to the point where it's just like watching Julius Randle makes me reminisce on just only 2 years ago. I don't know. It's like, we've tried to incorporate him in, but I think when we made this trade, obviously it was for cap reasons. I've seen enough of Julius Randle. Kind of one of my rules with NBA players is, if you haven't changed a tendency that you have by year 8, don't even bother. It's always going to stick around. Cat's offensive fouls, Giannis's 3-point shooting, Rudy's free throw shooting. These things do not change after year 8. You don't just turn your effort around when you're 30 years old. Like, it's just, it is what it is, like you said, Andrew. And this is exactly the Julius Randle I kind of expected come into the Wolves. Really appreciated his run last year against the Lakers, against the Warriors, but the Wolves were just so much better than they were by a country mile. That's why we saw Randle dominate. That's why we saw Rudy dominate those teams, because we were just that much better than they were. You run into a Spurs team where you have a skilled offensive Rudy that's 2-3 inches taller than Rudy himself. This is what happens when you run into a team that's just as evenly matched. And when you make the mistakes these Wolves have been making throughout the series, if you're making more mistakes than the other team and you're evenly matched, if we want to say in talent, they're going to have the edge when it all comes down to it. That's not even counting the effort they're putting in, the offensive rebounds they're putting in, the second chance to get it out to an open shooter, kick, get it to a guy that can get an open shot, drive to the rack, find a lane. And this is all missing from the Timberwolves, especially on offense here throughout the series. It's been so stagnant for so long. And man, it was a tough watch tonight. You'd love to see those spurts, but that's just kind of what this Wolves team is. You play about 24 of the 48 minutes and you're hoping to win at this point. That's even, you could say that even happened during the Denver series at times, because we did have leads and we did blow those leads and had to hold the fort down at the very last second. It's just, I don't know. There's going to have to be some sort of change. This team is too slow. I think we saw that even versus Denver a little bit when they started ramping up, not really their physicality, but just their transition type of game. We just can't keep up with Rudy and Randle there.
Yeah. I mean, just to add more context with Randle, like in this Spurs series, he has a 0.44 assist to turnover ratio, which is not ideal, shooting 21.1% on threes on 4 attempts a game, 1.6 assists per game, which like that's kind of the thing that he does well, is run the offense out of that kind of post. Just been tough. I mean, I guess let's as sideline vibes comes in.
Yeah.
Wolves in 7. There's a couple other questions that have come through the chat about like Ant's ball IQ. I do want to just also like be kind of the realist on this, of like, this Wolves team is not exactly healthy. Like Io's calf sucks. If this was the regular season, he'd be sitting. Ant does not have knees. Like watching that guy walk around after the game last night, or on what night was it? Gosh, Sunday nights. Like John Krasinski has been talking about it quite a bit, of like, he's been describing him of just hamburger knees. Like he's not even close to healthy. A bone bruise in one, and he's still dealing with the runner's knee in the other. Dante tears his Achilles. Nas is strapped together with duct tape and rock tape at this point. And also, like, Jaden had a bone bruise right before the end of the season and kind of rushed back to just get his conditioning up. Like 5 out of the top 8 guys are not healthy. So like in a perfect world, would the Wolves beat the Spurs? I don't know. Like, I think there's too many things inherently wrong with this team. The Randle of it all, like the on and off again kind of like competitive, drive that they have at times, if you want to call it like that. Like, I don't know if they beat the Spurs if they're fully healthy, but like, I don't think they're as far off if they were healthy. And I do think this offseason that Randle is the trigger to pull, right? Like, salary is very appealing. I know people are going to hate this, but like, this is how the NBA goes. If you pair him with Dante, you can get up to 42 million and you can get a borderline max contract guy, or you can trade Julius for a backup center and a backup point guard. Maybe they're both 23 instead of 31, and you kind of reset. Hell, you could even trade him for like a backup point guard and get picks. I do think there will be a team in the offseason that looks at this and says, Julius, we could throw our 2033 first round pick and, I don't know, name your backup point guard from a competitive-ish team and see what happens. Like, they're gonna have some opportunities. I mean, Bones, I would expect, is going to be coming back again, and that guy seems like a workaholic. Io, it seems like, is going to at least like take visits, but it seems like he's going to come back. Like, I do think this season is probably going to get lost to history of just like a transition year. But next season and moving forward, this is still a team that's like in a ridiculously good place. I'm like 10 minutes behind on ads though, so I'm going to throw us to ads, and then Steve, I'm going to let you tackle the Anthony Edwards question here. But first, ads. Well, hello. Thank you, Livestream Andrew. This is Ad Read Andrew. And today we have Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, the presenting sponsor for the Missing Links podcast. Firehawk Construction and Remodeling strives to inspire people to follow their ideas, working with respect and understanding to create a quality, tailored result. Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, located in Blaine and serving in the North Metro area, is here to help you with your building and remodeling needs. I can say personally, thanks to Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, I have a beautiful deck in my backyard and countless projects that I started, they finished. Get started on your new deck or remodel today by calling Isaac at 763-710-5686. And we're back with another ad read, this time for Pence Homes, the presenting sponsor of Hitting the Hardwood Network. From the best tools and technology to transparency throughout the entire process, Nate Pence and the Pence Homes team is the top choice for buyers, sellers, and is proud to support you and your home ownership goals. Get started today by calling 612-308-1122 or by emailing info@pencehomes.com. So real quick before I throw it over to you, Steve, because I think Farah and a couple other people just asked, like, who, when there's that, back the point guard you could trade him for. I mean, next year, you literally can just kind of go down Basketball Reference and look at salaries. I mean, let's be honest, you're not going to get a massive guy, but like, does Dallas want to shore up their thing and wants to keep Kyrie? Let's say Dallas wants to keep Coop, they want to keep Kyrie, but they're okay moving off Max Christie. Like, Julius Randle is from Dallas. I think Dallas could talk themselves into that, and maybe you're getting Dallas Max Christie in like a first round pick. Like, is, again, I'll keep going through it, but like, is Toronto over Grady Dick? Could you get like Grady Dick and salary filler and a first round pick from Toronto? Like, you're probably not at this point getting even like a Kyrie for Julius Randle. Like, I think that ship has kind of sailed with this playoff performance and the like December to current day performance of Julius. So now you're looking at, you're probably getting a really far out there first round pick, which is like a trade asset. And then who's a guy that hasn't done great in his current spot? Like Jaden Hardy, is that somebody from Washington? Distressed asset, good with Dallas, undersized. Ray, I do want to just answer your question here before I turn it over to Steve. But why would any team trade for Dante when he's likely out all season? Salary dump. The most clean cut example I can give you is Joe Ingles tore his ACL with Utah, and then Utah that following offseason traded him for a second round pick and Nickeil Alexander-Walker. And Nickeil ended up being a player for them, but basically they threw Joe Ingles' salary to Portland. Portland cut him, and then Nickeil was rerouted from New Orleans to Portland to Utah in that trade. But it opened up a mid-level exception for them, and they were able to sign somebody. It wasn't Royce O'Neal. I can't remember who they went and traded for, but like, regardless, that's just a shitty thing that happens with dudes on injuries, is like, it's tough. Steve, though, and deciphering double teams and just his overall playmaking, like, what have you made of it so far? Sia's asking why his ball IQ is so low.
Sometimes I don't like where he's crossing half court. I think he puts himself in really bad spots. I don't know that his IQ's poor. I think there's this image of in the Denver series of Ant getting doubled and kicking it to Dante, and he buries that three in Denver, I think it was. And that guy's not there. So that's part of the problem. Second part is, they did it more tonight, which I was glad to see. They flashed to the middle in the free throw area. Then the guy catches, and I think it was Jaden tonight. And they did this in the last game too, a couple times. I think that would help more. honestly, again, the problem is they just, when they have Rudy on the court, that doesn't work. And we're double dipping Lynx and Wolves here.
Yeah, Girl, I think Ghosts. I'm just gonna call you that forever. Yeah, I have the Lynx game up on my phone. Don't worry. I'm locked in. 57-57. They came back.
Yeah.
Okay, continue, Steve.
Yeah. I just think I just think right now, like Io had that great straight line drive off the double and he dunked. And we just don't get enough consistency there. So like the point of a double team is you got to have guys that can beat it on the backside, and we don't have enough of that. I think again tonight there's a couple settling for threes from not great shooters like TJ. I know you can make a couple, man, but boy, I'd love to see you hammer Wemby one time. Just get downhill, but they don't want to do that. If Nas is open, that's a guy you want shooting a corner three. Io, I want attacking. TJ, I want attacking. So I think I don't know what like you said, Ant's hurt. Like it's obvious. The most stark thing I thought was how easy Stephon Castle and Dylan Harper were dunking tonight. And I'm like,
yeah,
I remember when Ant used to do that, and he just can't. And it's just different. He can't rip through those double teams. He can't split them like he used to. And it makes it look, I think, tougher. He looks slower, and he's trying to get to spots where he can get a shot off without using his athleticism, sadly.
Yeah, and again, like I think that's like after the season, there's going to be like with every team that gets eliminated, right? Like the Lakers got eliminated to the Wolves last year, and like within 24 hours, we find out LeBron's hurt, Austin's hurt, Luka's hurt, everyone on the team is hurt, and like that's always a thing. Like Ant's injury is legitimately like he should not be playing basketball right now. Like they are clearing him, saying that he's not going to do more damage to his knees is kind of my understanding, is that they're like, hey, you're not going to mess this up long term, but like it's going to be exceptionally painful and you're going to have to rehab all off season, which honestly, that'll probably be good for Ant of just rehabbing and not being like the maniacal work ethic guy that he is. Maybe he can like save some of these miles on his body, but like, I mean, there's a couple times where it's just like how many times have we seen him just like split a double team and go to the rim? And he just didn't have that burst tonight where it's just like, oh, he can't run. He can still score 20 to 39 points without being able to run or jump. But I do think that plays into, like you were mentioning him crossing half court, like that was super notable that he's crossing half court, like at the sideline where he's getting trapped. And if you're like watching him, it's because he's trying to like veer around somebody instead of go straight through him. And I just wonder if it's just, hey, his knees are just kind of cooked at this point, which I don't know. Duke, any thoughts on Ant before we take off and get out of here?
He's got to heal up. Like point plain simple. I believe it's 2 days off here before the next game on Friday. Yeah, game's on Friday. So you got 2 days off. I will say the last time the Wolves had an extended break, they hit the film room. They came back and looked amazing. I don't know how much we're going to be able to do, like we mentioned with Victor Wembanyama, how much we're going to be able to do with Anthony Edwards on 2 bum knees, Nas a bum shoulder. Dante's not here. Like what? There's really not much you can do if you're Anthony Edwards. You need what you need if you're Anthony Edwards is you need your teammates to start hitting the shots. That's once they start hitting the shots, they're not going to send as many blitzes. You're going to be able to find some space. But something else I want to point out too, we saw TJ Shannon after that game 1 win saying, I'm going to just keep attacking the rim. I want to dunk on him. Where is it? You airballed. He's a great player. He's a great player. Like frustration took over there for a second, but you airballed 2 threes. I would have rather much had you get blocked at the rim or maybe had like a momentum shifting dunk on Victor Wembanyama. That could have been more of a play into this game instead of really chucking up those threes. And that was not just TJ, of course. That was all the guys. Even Io, who had a great game, threw up a couple head scratchers. If you don't hit those shots early in the shot clock, especially, you're not going to be able to open anything up for Ant. They're just going to keep hounding him. They're just going to keep forcing you to shoot that ball until it goes in. And credit to Naz Reid, he was getting hounded too, but he made like some pretty crazy big jelly moves, like step backs for threes that were just miracles to go in the first place. But he's just that type of guy who's really skilled, and they're going to need more of those threes, because like we haven't really given the Spurs too much credit on this live, but besides Wembanyama, the rest of those guys have been dogs. Like, I hate to say it, their antics on the court remind me a little bit of Denver's, but hey, at least they're doing it. Like, they're playing it. They're getting down dirty, nose in the ground. They want to win this series. They're the young team that wants to win this series and move on. We're the team that coasted the whole regular season in hopes that we're going to just be that team in the playoffs. I think I mentioned this to Parker Fox when I was on a podcast, or when I had him on my show, but it really feels like the Spurs are the Wolves from 2 years ago. They took that regular season seriously. They played all 48 minutes for most of those games. They head into the playoffs maybe with a little more miles on than most teams, sure, but they were ready to play, and they didn't take any crap from anyone. That's what's missing from the identity of this team. We were searching for one all year. There's articles written up and down. What is the identity of this team? Where are they going to go with the identity? They just didn't have one this year. There was none of the team really fit together to even allow yourselves to have an identity. Can't be defense because we have, Julius Randle does what he does, and he's such a big part of that offense. Backdoor cuts, letting him up, that's just not going to cut it if you want a defensive identity.
I mean, that's the one thing I'll say is hopefully what this team learns from this season is if they had the first round series against Portland, they could have rested Ant an extra 3 games and maybe not rushed him back at the end of the season to try and get him conditioned and fighting for the 6th seed. That's my hope. I don't know if that's what it'll be. Ant, it unfortunately, a lot of it just lies with Ant, Jaden, and Naz. Next year, it's going to be their team unless they pull off a Giannis trade or something like that, which if they do that, then half of those guys aren't going to be on the team. But it's going to be Ant. He just, it has to start with him. It has to start with him taking more of these regular season games to heart, and we'll see if it happens. Steve, any last thoughts from you, though?
I mean, I was going to say that going into the series, I think there was a high Vegas odds for a sweep or gentleman's sweep with this series, and it's going 6 games. It could go 7.
Yeah.
We're wounded. We're not playing particularly well in any facet, really. And we could force a game 7 against a 62-win team. So, we were talking about all the moves we can make in the offseason. It might just be flipping Julius for something. Maybe that's all it needs. I don't know, or whatever. But, this team has a superstar. It's kind of in a league now where one superstar and a bunch of really, really good players around it, which is what the Spurs are, which is what OKC is. And so, I think they're still young. They're not as young as the Spurs, but they're young for the most part, outside of Julius and Rudy. So, I kind of went into the series not thinking we have to win this. We're the better team. I'm thinking can we grind this out as the more experienced team? They could come back on Friday, get, like you said, Duke, just get that extra day of rest, and they pull off a win. And now now what? Now the pressure's on the home team. And so, yeah, it's frustrating. Tonight was frustrating. 2 losses that are really bad. But a loss is a loss. You're down 3-2. You're a 6 seed playing a 2 seed. Let's tip it off Friday, see what happens, man.
If there's any team that can play well on house money, it's the Timberwolves. So we could be looking like fools come game 7.
And now they have to. I've been saying it all season, this team is incapable of doing things the easy way. They have to do it the hard way. So now they have to do it the hard way. Steve, where can people find you? Please plug your lovely podcast.
Yeah, Splash City Podcast on Instagram. We do a lot of Minnesota hoops. So every level, we talk high school, college, and then obviously the NBA. Got a fun episode coming up probably next week, early next week on pickup basketball. So if anybody plays pickup, just fun stories, the antics you see, the things you hear at pickup basketball. So that's coming out. But yeah, just Splash City Basketball, wherever you get your podcasts, of course. And then, Instagram, Facebook, Blue Sky, YouTube, of course. So
Awesome. Duke, your turn. Where can people find you?
Yes, sir. Steve, it's been a pleasure to be on here with you today. Great to meet you.
you too, man.
You can catch me on Valley News Live. Follow the Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I'm starting to fire up a little bit of a sports overtime type show, type podcast, type deal where I start to kind of bring in guys and talk about Minnesota sports right now. Tomorrow I have AJ Fredrickson coming on from Score North to talk a depressing Wild loss, just like a depressing Timberwolves loss. Andrew, you're hopping on tomorrow as well to be a part of that. So make sure you guys tune in and then follow me on @Duke_Schindler on Twitter or X, I guess. I'll be starting to post those, retweet those, and have a lot of fun here in the midst of immense pain. But yes, also part of 10K Howls, 10K Takes. Those guys have been awesome to me. Follow 10K Howls as well. So a lot of places you'll find my footprint in Wolves.
Awesome. Appreciate it, man. Thanks both of you for coming on. For people that jumped into this a little late, it does get posted up on YouTube and on X, lives on forever. As soon as I end the stream, it'll be out tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. under the Missing Wolves pod stream, wherever you listen to your podcasts. I am going to be live again in like an hour because the Lynx are about to wrap up here against Phoenix.
Of course.
Hayden Siley covers the Mercury down in Phoenix. He's joining me as the guest live from wherever Phoenix plays. I don't even know what's their stadium name? Same one as the Suns, I think. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We'll be live.
I live there. The stadium changed. The stadium name has changed like about 7 to 8 times in like the last 5 years. I cannot keep up with it. I thought it was the Footprint Center for so long. I swear to God, they made like 2
That's what I know. It's not the Footprint Center anymore.
It used to be I lived 2 years in Arizona. I believe I saw 3 to 4 name changes.
It's not great. Anyways, the podcast will be great. Swing by for that if you want some Lynx content. Thanks everyone for listening. Steve, Duke, appreciate you guys as always, and we'll be back on Friday, win or lose.